Murphy has died
Media
at
and
the age of
paparazzi
32.
surrounded the home that she shared with her husband, Simon Monjack.
Simon took her away. He made sure no one could get to her.
Hi, my name is Brittany Murphy, and I go to Herbert Hoover Middle School.
Brittany was so wonderful. There was nobody else like her.
There was kind of a sweet, childish, lost quality that she had that just breaks your heart.
She was successful immediately.
You cannot be a teen girl and not love Brittany in 8 Mile, Clueless. These are movies that will stand the test of time. Brittany Murphy was super cute, but in Hollywood, you have to be Gwyneth Paltrow.
Brittany Murphy's friends just confirmed Diddy and Ashton Kutcher knew a lot more about her sudden death than they let on. And get this, allegedly, Diddy and Ashton played a huge part in the many things that led to Brittany basically almost going crazy before her mysterious death. Guys, they basically destroyed her, then deleted her. At least that's the rumor that's now going around. So you'd better grab your seats and let's dive into one of Hollywood's biggest mystery deaths and figure out why Diddy and Ashton's names keep popping up over and over. So Brittany Murphy's death has always been wrapped in a cloud of mystery, so much so that the questions about how she died often eclipse the dazzling career she once had. Was it poisoning? Was her creepy husband Simon Monjack somehow involved? And what about the fact that Monjack himself died just 5 months later, reportedly from the exact same way as Brittany, pneumonia and severe anemia? To this day, the circumstances remain as haunting as they are suspicious. But now, more than a decade later, one of Brittany's closest friends has stepped forward with revelations that are shedding new light on the pressures the actress endured behind the scenes. Melanie Lynskey, Brittany's longtime friend and co-star, has broken her silence, and what she's revealed is as heartbreaking as it is infuriating. In a candid cover interview for InStyle's summer issue, Lynskey painted a picture of a young woman battling an industry that seemed determined to break her spirit. She remembered Brittany not just as a talented actress, but as someone who was deeply insecure about her appearance, insecurities planted and watered by Hollywood itself. The way she viewed herself was always really heartbreaking to me, Lynskey said. The things she felt she had to change to be a successful actor. She explained how, even as a teenager, Brittany was being boxed in by cruel, limiting labels. Casting directors saw her round cheeks and immediately typecast her as the fat one, despite the fact that she was nowhere near overweight. It didn't matter that Brittany Murphy was perfect as she was. In the eyes of Hollywood, she had to be reshaped, trimmed down, transformed into something she wasn't, but
she was not a typical pretty girl, and so many young women in Hollywood are pressured enormously.
She had lost an inordinate amount of weight, and she was dressing totally differently.
She said, that's what I've been told if I wanted to be considered as a leading lady.
here is where the story starts to get really dark. You see all the Hollywood pressure Brittany was facing and the self-esteem issues Melanie was talking about. Well, rumors have it that certain people behind the scenes were pulling the strings to ensure Brittany was miserable, and guess whose names keep popping up as the masterminds? None other than Diddy and Ashton. You see, before all the scandal, suspicion, and whispers of her being blackballed by Hollywood, Brittany Murphy wasn't just a star, she was the star. The kind of actress who could jump from gritty dramas to bubbly rom-coms without missing a beat. She stunned audiences alongside Eminem in 8 Mile and held her own in The Oscar-winning Girl, interrupted with Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder. She had that rare spark that was unforgettable. And Brittany wasn't just conquering the screen, she was dipping her toes into music too. In 2006, she landed on top of the dance charts, lending her vocals to Paul Oakenfold's club's smash Faster Kill Pussycat. Then, just 2 years earlier, she told people she was working on an album of her own. But then something changed. Almost overnight, nobody in Hollywood wanted to work with Brittany. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Brittany met Simon Monjack, a man whose sudden appearance in her life raised eyebrows even back then. The whispers started almost immediately. Hollywood insiders claimed there was more to him than met the eye, that he had an agenda, that he might not have just appeared, but had been sent. Sent by whom and for what? Because let's be real, Simon was a walking red flag.
During a little dip she was having, he came along. And I think that's where her judgment was muddled and she became prey.
Simon said that he was the largest collector of Vermeer, dated Elle Macpherson and Madonna. He said that he had been dying from terminal brain cancer and that he had bought an experimental treatment derived from the fins of sharks. Every single word out of his mouth was a lie.
You see, long before he ever crossed paths with Brittany Murphy, his history was littered with failed relationships, financial chaos, and a trail of women who would later come forward with disturbing stories. Even his own mother, Linda, admitted that Simon had a habit of falling in and out of love far too quickly. But for some of his former partners, that wasn't romantic, it was predatory. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Monjack had a pattern. He'd present himself as a wealthy, worldly man, painting a lavish picture of who he was. But behind the smooth talk and tailored suits was a web of lies. Not just about money, but about his very identity and even his health. Take his relationship with former fiancée Elizabeth Ragsdale. The two met while she was living in Paris, and Monjack wasted no time sweeping her off her feet. They got engaged quickly, but then came the story that would change everything. Simon told Ragsdale he had spinal cancer, and that if they wanted children, they needed to act fast because upcoming treatments would leave him sterile. Believing him, she got pregnant. Then Ragsdale said Monjack began isolating her, cutting her off from friends and family, the exact same thing he did to Brittany. Then, in a move that still stuns her to this day, Simon insisted Elizabeth fly to the US to have the baby. He bought her a ticket to New York, but when she landed, he vanished. No calls, no texts, nothing. She later discovered, through his mother, that Simon had never had cancer at all. She gave birth to their baby without him, and she wasn't the only one burned. In the early 2000s, Monjack married British TV personality Simone Bien in a quick Las Vegas wedding. By 2006, the marriage was over, and Bien sued him for thousands in unpaid divorce settlements, according to the New York Post. When you line it all up, the lies, the manipulation, the abandonment, it's hard not to see the pattern. And when that pattern eventually intersected with Brittany Murphy's life. In May 2007, after broken engagements to talent manager Jeff Quatnetz and crew member Joe Macaluso, Brittany married Monjack. Less than 3 years later, Brittany was dead. And shockingly enough, 5 months after that, so was Simon, both of them gone under eerily similar circumstances, pneumonia and severe anemia. Now here is where the mystery gets even deeper. In the HBO documentary, What Happened, Brittany Murphy, never before seen footage of a young Brittany was randomly dropped. Brittany was a bright-eyed, vibrant person with a smile that could light up a room, but as the film progresses, the Brittany we see changes. In heartbreaking behind-the-scenes clips from one of her final films, Across the Hall, she's so physically depleted and up that she couldn't remember her lines. And then there's Simon Monjack. The documentary revealed so many bizarre, dark details about him that they could fill an entire season of Dateline, and that's just the stuff that made it on camera. Director Cynthia Hill admitted, "I feel a little bit conflicted that Simon kind of hijacks Brittany's story. But when you look at the footage and hear the testimonies, it's painfully clear Monjack was already doing that while Brittany was alive. This is a story about power and control in Hollywood and in relationships," Hill said, about the damage it can do to a person and how their truth can get lost in it. In her investigation, Hill even hired a private investigator. The secrets she uncovered about Monjack were so shocking, they left people wondering how much of Brittany's tragic downfall was her own and how much was orchestrated by the man who claimed to love her but may have been hiding things even she never knew. Now, the deeper you dig, the messier these things get. You see, the morning Brittany Murphy died, the LA Fire Department got a call for a medical request at Brittany and Simon Monjack's Hollywood Hills home. According to reports, Simon himself attempted to resuscitate Brittany before paramedics arrived. Moments later, she was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but it was already too late. Brittany went into full cardiac arrest and was pronounced dead around 10 a.m., just 32 years old. And here's where the red flags start waving like crazy. Simon didn't want an autopsy done on Brittany. Not only that, he even tried to block it entirely. Let that sink in. A healthy, vibrant woman dies suddenly under strange circumstances. and her husband's first instinct is to stop an investigation into how. Thankfully, he didn't have the legal authority to pull it off. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office moved forward with the autopsy the very next day. 2 months later, the official report was released, and if anyone thought it would clear things up, they were sorely mistaken. Instead, it just made everything weirder. According to the coroner, Brittany died from pneumonia with anemia and multiple intoxication listed as contributing factors. And yet, despite the combination of conditions and substances in her system, her death was officially ruled accidental. Here's the shady part. At first, they wouldn't even say what those substances were. No list, no specifics, just silence. It was as if someone wanted the details buried. And when you consider Simon's bizarre behavior, his attempt to block the autopsy, the mystery around the medications, and the fact that he himself would die under nearly identical circumstances just 5 months later, it stops feeling like a coincidence and starts feeling like a well-orchestrated plan by someone. There was a time rumors were swirling that when Ashton and Brittany were going out, he got invited to one of Diddy's parties by Ashton. Ashton and Diddy tried recruiting her to their world, but Brittany refused. And to keep her quiet, they began ruining her career, ensuring the only way she would get work was if she cooperated. But it seems she didn't, and they took her out of the picture so she couldn't reveal their secret. But unfortunately, it seems we will have to wait a bit longer to find out how true this rumor actually was. Anyways, let me know your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to check out our other videos to ensure you are all up to date with all the latest tea. Till next time, bye.